Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind. We've got some leftist hypocrisy and leftist downfall to get into on this one. You know, Democrats will avoid the reality for as long as they possibly can. They'll push all the copium in the world in an attempt to save face and hopefully pretend as if everything's going just peachy, even though they know it isn't. They'll hold that face for as long as they can, of course, until they can't any longer. And we are reaching that exact point. At this point, Democrats can't pretend as if things are going well. Democrats can't pretend as if Joe Biden is okay and on path for re-election as an incumbent president. No, they can't pretend that that's the case at all anymore. As Joe Biden's support continues to fall apart like never seen before, there has never been a Democrat in such a weak position as an incumbent in modern history, maybe Jimmy Carr, but this might honestly even be worse. And it's gotten to the point where it's so obvious and so undeniable. Democrats are shedding voters, independents, and even black voters, again, as never seen, and so now they finally have to admit it. The alarm bells are ringing as Democrat panic around Joe Biden's chances of winning in 2024 continue to crumble. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so the warnings started off with Cenk Uygur, remember all those months ago. Cenk, of course, at the TYT is a little bit of a character, and for the most part, I mean, he says the darndest things. But when it comes to criticizing the Democrat establishment or warning of potential fallout, Cenk's pretty good, and he was ahead of them on this one, and now all of a sudden it seems like many Democrats are hitting the panic button. Here's Pramila Jayapal on Jen Psaki's MSNBC show.
But I will tell you, this is the first time, Jen, that I have felt like the 2024 election is in great trouble for the president and for our Democratic control, which is essential to moving forward.
Quote, "This is the first time, Jen, that I have felt like the 2024 election is in great trouble for the president and for our Democrat control." Now, you think? If congressional Democrats are now admitting it, well, then you know that it must be true. And especially coming from Pramila Jayapal, she happens to be part of that little progressive caucus. I guess we could refer to it as the Hamas caucus. And we all know how angry Gen Z is with Joe Biden right now for not, I don't know, taking a very weird stance of supporting Hamas terrorism. So most likely that's the exposure that she's getting, you know, kind of like the TikTok trend that we've been covering recently.
White liberals, you do not get to tell minorities that they are selfish and insane for saying that they will not vote for Genocide Joe in 2024. Y'all are the ones that are actually mad if you still think that Joe Biden is the lesser of two evils between him and Trump.
Lefties, and especially the far lefty progressive types and young voters, are pushing to boycott voting for Joe Biden in 2024 due to a myriad of reasons, but the Israel-Palestine conflict is one of them. They view it as Joe Biden siding with Israeli apartheid. It's just one of those things on top of student loans and other issues piling up together, you know, the straw that breaks the camel's back. And most likely Pramila Jayapal is hearing young people across the nation tell her, we're going to sit this one out, or we're not exactly excited, or probably the worst thing of all that some Democrats are definitely hearing, we're going to vote for Donald Trump. And boy, do the numbers back that up. I mean, absolutely astounding stuff being released recently. Here's a poll from likely voters from New York Times/Siena Research, mostly focusing in on some of the most important battleground states. And some of these Trump leads, I mean, there's something to behold. Take a look at these numbers. Supposedly, Donald Trump is leading Joe Biden by 11 points in the state of Nevada. This is a state that we've had our eyes on for a while now. We've been noticing that red word shift. Well, it's possible that Nevada shifts right hard. Pennsylvania, Trump supposedly leads by 5 points at 49-44. Trump leads by another 5 in Arizona, another 5 in Georgia, tied in Michigan. With Biden having a lead in Wisconsin, that one I think is a little bit confusing. Not exactly sure if that one's going to play out, but we'll see. It's possible that Wisconsin trends left, but honestly, I think it's, you know, pretty much a purple state that I assume would swing more towards Republicans than Michigan would. But we'll have to see, and really, Trump doesn't really need to win every single one of these states. He wins 2 of them and it's pretty much game over. And currently he's winning 3 of the most important of those states, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Georgia, not just in this data set, but in most of the numbers that we've been covering. One of the biggest places where we're going to start seeing a shift is most likely Georgia and possibly even the Atlanta-Fulton County area. We saw a groundswell of support for Donald Trump after Fani Willis decided to move forward with her indictment and her ridiculous RICO case against Donald Trump and his supposed accomplices. Well, between the whole, you know, hashtag #Free Trump movement, all the rappers endorsing Donald Trump, the illegal immigration issue, the economic issues, I mean, the list goes on. I wouldn't be surprised if blue trending Georgia took a little break from shifting over, returning to its beautiful red roots. I think that's probably what we're going to see, and I think the black vote is going to play a role in that. It's going to be mostly independents, but, you know, a couple black voters switch over, especially in an area like Fulton, and that has a possible election shifting effect. And of course, this is another effect that not only we've been covering, that most people have been covering, but that Democrats are now starting to acknowledge. Here's Democrat Representative Jasmine Crockett, who, by the way, never really existed in the press until her moment during that House hearing. Her moment, by the way. Remember her absolutely ridiculously cringe, trashy performance?
Let me tell you something. I don't want to talk about what y'all want to act like is some big mystery, because we keep sitting here and Professor Gerhardt, just to be clear, as my colleagues have even tried to provide evidence, which they're not the ones to provide evidence, have you ever heard them say if, since we've been sitting here for I don't know how long?
Well, I called it, didn't I? That was the Jasmine Crockett, you know, claim to fame. Now they're giving her TV spot interviews. Now she's all over the place after putting herself in the spotlight. An interesting little situation, but anyways, let's get off the tangent and back on the topic. Jasmine Crockett showing up on CNN's State of the Union, discussing the idea of Joe Biden's collapse in black voter support.
Here's the deal. Perception is reality. And so when you look at the data that was provided in this poll, it talks about how people feel. And when people decide whether they're going to the poll or whether they're not going to the poll, it's all about how you feel in that moment. And so while the facts may not align with their feelings are dictating their reality. Their reality is that they said that they feel better or they felt better when Trump was in office. But we've been trying to push back. We've got some very popular African-American artists that are out here saying things like, oh, I got checks when Trump was in office. I want those checks again, not understanding that that really came from Congress. So we've got a couple of things, the perception issue, and then we also have an issue as it relates to civics in this country and people not understanding exactly how any of this works.
And just as racist and condescending as you might expect from a Democrat, she claims that the reason black voters aren't supporting Joe is because they just don't understand. I guess you're too dumb to understand. Basic economics, political betrayal, horrible policies, terrible track record and performance. No. That's not your grievance with Joe Biden. You're just too dumb to understand all the good that he's done. Great stance. What a way to campaign. Democrats are rock and rolling absolute freaking morons. You know, obviously Democrats are coming to the most insane copium conclusion in relation to this very impactful issue heading into the next election. They may have the wrong response or the wrong analysis in the face of this voter shift, but that doesn't really matter because they're acknowledging the base reality, which is black voters are fleeing the Democrat Party in droves, especially in places like New York and Chicago, and like I predicted, possibly in places like Fulton County in Georgia, maybe in Philadelphia, I mean, who knows, maybe even in Michigan. Maybe it's going to have an impact, possibly even a slight impact. Democrats are obviously following the phenomenon, they know it, and they are scared shitless. The copium only comes out when it's time for that 5-alarm panic. And that's exactly what we're seeing across the board, from Pramila Jayapal panicking over the lack in young progressive voter turnout, or potential low turnout, low voter enthusiasm, and a groundswell of voter boycotts against Joe Biden, or whether it's them panicking over the black vote. The reality is the numbers are not looking good for Democrats. They're struggling on enthusiasm, they're struggling with their core voter blocks, and they're down in the polls. Let's just say, like I keep saying, expect something crazy to happen. Expect the PSYOP department to be mobilized here in full effect. It's about to get real messy. That's pretty much how it goes when Democrats have their backs against the wall, huh? Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.